What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm Katie Mox, and there is a lot to get into today. So let's welcome in our guest, Mr. Monday, Danny Brasco. Brasco, you were at the Knicks game last night. How are we doing?
Oh, heartbreak. I mean, it was a really, really fun game. It was a blast. The Garden was rocking, but we gave that game away. I'm so upset the Knicks didn't pull it out. I feel like we were dominating that first half, and even with an injured Jimmy Butler in the second half, the Heat just shut us down and found a way. So it's going to be a war of a series. I'm looking forward to the next game and how this goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get into that a little bit later in the show, but just had to see, what your gut check was because I do follow you on social, and you had called game early in that one, and I was like, "Oh no, Danny." But all right, let's talk about that was an epic collapse. From the first half to the second half, that was an epic collapse. But the Florida Panthers eliminated the number 1 seed, the Boston Bruins, in game 7 of the first round after their historic record-setting season. The Bruins were the clear favorite not only to win the series, but to win the Stanley Cup. Danny Brasco, they had a 3-1 series lead on top of everything, and then they lost in game 7. So of course that has the juices flowing here. What other epic collapses have happened, and what's the most memorable? Well, I'll go ahead and start this one off, Danny. For me, it's 2016, the Warriors and the Cavaliers up 3 in that series. Of course, Draymond Green gets ejected for the very first time, gets a suspension, and then they lose to the Cavaliers. So for me, as a fan, that is the worst collapse I've ever suffered. And I guess for the 49ers this year, I wouldn't really call it a collapse, but getting all the way to the NFC Championship game and then not having any quarterbacks is also equally as frustrating. But what's a collapse that has broken your heart in the
Man, you're
past?
really making me relive some trauma to start the day here, Katie, on a
Yeah.
Monday. Please, I thought we were good friends. We're going to be closer now after this trauma bonding because you're making me relive 2004 Yankees Red Sox, the most epic meltdown in any
Oh.
playoff series. And I try to not talk about that as much as anything, as much as all the deepest, darkest things in the caverns of my mind. So yeah, that's it.
We won't get into any details on that one. Yeah, there have been some epic collapses, and obviously it hurts for the players, but for the fans, especially when it's a rivalry like that one, the Red Sox and the Yankees, that just it hurts you for years to come, as we can very clearly see here with our friend Danny Brasco. All right, we're taking a quick break. You're watching Moxie Bets. We'll be right back. Why should you bet with Caesar Sportsbook? 2 words: Caesar's Rewards. Every bet brings you closer to the type of benefits only Caesars can offer: hotel stays, VIP experiences, sports and concert tickets, and more. It's not just an app, it's an empire. Back here on Moxie Bets, we are here with Danny Brasco, and we're going to talk some NBA playoffs. How about those Warriors, Danny? How about those Warriors? Now, I did say Warriors in 6. That did not cash, but it was Warriors in 7, baby. It was never going to end any other way. And I have been saying on this show, and when I was, appearing on other people's show, that the Kings were always going to be a first round bounce out, no matter who it was. Now, was it unlucky that they had to get the Warriors, the defending champions, as their first round? Maybe. But Danny, I also think that was the luckiest draw they could have got, because who knows the Warriors better than Mike Brown? Everything the Warriors could do, I feel like as far as like matchups are concerned, they had their best chance against the Warriors. And by the way, yes, the whole light the beam, we buried the beam. You will never see this beam again. It is retired for this year. Sorry, aliens, you're not seeing anything up in the sky anymore. But all credit has to be given to the Kings. And Darren Fox is just ridiculous. I mean, that man is going to have a very, very long career, possibly up there with the greats. I mean, he absolutely earned everybody's respect. Sabonis, not so much. I feel like I kind of lost more respect for him in this series than gained it. But Darren Fox for sure, Monk for sure, and the Kings fans, like, what an incredible fan base. And they were so excited. So they definitely can, hold their heads high on this one. There's a lot to move forward. This team is not going away. But sorry, the champs had to stomp you in a historic fashion. Steph Curry, the only player in history to drop 50 points in a game 7 in the history of the NBA. And God, Looney on the boards, back-to-back 20-plus board games. So these Warriors are going to be a problem. I've said they're going to be a problem, and now they're taking on King James. which is going to be interesting. And I feel like from a fan's perspective, Danny, everybody wants to see the Warriors versus the Kings, right? Everybody wants to see LeBron James versus Steph Curry. Those are the two, I would say, marquee players in the league right now that everybody tunes in to see. Now, I will say, one is slightly more popular than the other because I think there's been 4 games that have had like 27 million viewers or some kind of crazy number, and all 4 of those have featured Stephen Curry, Wardell Stephen Curry the second, and of course King James, biggest guy around. But let's look at these odds here. Well, one, let me get your thoughts on the Kings and the Warriors series. What do you think?
Oh, it was a fantastic series. Bury the beam. I love that. Katie's coming
Bury
hard after
it.
that Game 7 win. And I love it. I mean, the Sacramento fan base, like you said, they showed out. It was good for the NBA to get, a long,
hmm hmm
beleaguered franchise back into the playoffs with really a lot of great energy. So good for basketball. But, I'm thinking of that series now, thinking of how it comes into this next one. I talk about it in fighting all the time. Styles make fights. You're saying maybe it was a lucky draw. I kind of agree with Mike Brown having that coaching edge, but it was also a lucky draw because matchup wise, I think they match up actually okay
Yeah,
against the Warriors. This Lakers Warriors matchup is a clash of styles. I feel like this is a very different matchup. So
yeah.
the games may play out very differently. I'm interested to see what it's going to look like on the floor in this Game 1. But yeah, Warriors really showing out. Steph Curry, I heard you and Kenny talking about in a previous episode. He slept on in that GOAT conversation,
Yes.
very possibly making another feather in his cap in that argument to just eke his way forward in the conversation, at least of top 5 greatest players ever. So, Braun versus Curry, what more could we ask for?
What more could we ask for? And before we get into this series odds, let's look at the updated title odds over with our friends on Caesar Sportsbook. You got the Celtics still the clear favorite, plus 140. And then who inched up in the number 2 spot? Well, none other than the defending champs, the Golden State Warriors, plus 550, tied with the Nuggets there in that second to top spot. Then you got the Suns plus 650. They've dropped. They were definitely a lot higher on this. Lakers plus 750. They were plus 1,000. And Kenny and I talked about as far as like a long shot bet, even though I'm a Warriors fan and I'm, hoping that they get out of this series, and I think that they will. The Lakers are still an interesting bet here, even at plus 750. I liked it better at plus 1,000, but at plus 750. Then you got the Sixers plus 1,200. Man, Joel Embiid being injured is such a bummer. Who knows what to do with that? Heat plus 2,000, kind of a frisky pick. And then your Knicks all the way at the bottom there, plus 2,500. Disrespect. When you look at these title odds right now, I mean, obviously nobody's going to take the Celtics at plus 140. Maybe you could. Maybe you want to go chalk. I mean, fine. But is there anything that gets your attention, odds wise, that you think might be worth a little sprinkle?
I feel like the Warriors are worth a sprinkle at this point. I mean, I think that after getting out of that first round, they can really find their form and come back into championship caliber form. Why not get out of the West? I think it feels like this NBA playoffs are more wide open than any I can remember in recent history, especially with the Bucks out in the East now. It feels like it's the Celtics as the strong favorite, as the odds reflect, and everyone else absolutely
Yeah.
in this race. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I don't want to lay the chalk at the top of the board there. So, Warriors to me, they can refine that form. They're as dangerous as anybody. They have the experience. They've been there. They have the coaching. Why not at plus 550 here? I know you'll like that pick.
Championship DNA. But look, we need other people to step up. Clay did not have a great series. The last 2 games were not great with Clay Thompson. Jordan Poole, where you at, bro? Where are you at? We have not been to a pool party in a long time. And by the way, the weather's starting to get a little better. Everybody would like to wear their bathing suits. Let's get some pool parties going. But of course, Looney, absolute monster. All right, so if we look at the series odds for the Warriors and the Lakers, Warriors are favored minus 115, but I believe I looked at that today. Let me just get an update odds on this because I think it's changed to like minus 165, which I still think is not super, super bad. Hold on, let's see. Futures bets. And then series betting. Golden State Warriors, yeah, minus 165. So if you grabbed it at the minus 115, you are lucky. It's minus 165 now, which to be honest, I still don't think is that bad in terms of laying that with. There's other ways to bet this, of course. Los Angeles Lakers, if you like them, plus 145. What do you think about this series? How many games do you think it would go? I mean, it seems like you're pretty high on the Warriors and this matchup, but talk to me, Danny.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see stylistically how they match up against each other. Minus 165. I don't love betting on a team to win 4 games at such a juiced line like that, right? You could potentially bet them in 1 game, depending on how the odds shake out to win that. So I don't love the price there, but I do feel like they're going to win this series. And, it'll be bully ball versus speed ball, right? Speed versus power here. The Lakers are probably going to get down on the block, look to use their physicality, their size, play slow, measured half-court offense, and get those buckets down low, old school style, right? Whereas the Warriors are going to play small. They're going to fly around the court. They're going to make you break down on defense, open up everything, and try to rain threes in your face. And at the end of the day, I've said this before, 3 is worth more than 2. I think
Yeah.
they can just have, more efficient possessions, and they have more opportunities to do damage back and forth. So if it gets to be a shootout, if the Lakers can't slow games down, the Warriors are going to run away with these. So it'll be interesting to see who can dictate the tempo of the game. That should win out.
The math is mathing for you. 3 is more than 2, and that makes sense. Look, the series spread, if you look at it, Warriors minus 2.5, that's a lot. I don't know that they're gonna cover that many games. Now, the Warriors do have home court advantage, which is huge, especially at Chase Center. They were absolutely dominant at home. Now, both of these teams laid an egg, I would say, in their series. Obviously, the what would have been the closeout game for both of them. For the Lakers, it was in Memphis, and they just had a crappy game, and then they came back and absolutely dominated. And it was the same thing for the Warriors, but that was at Chase Center. Total crappy game. Got outworked, got outplayed, looked lethargic, and just couldn't. Curry couldn't make a shot. Curry couldn't make a shot. Then they go back and that dominant performance from Curry and the rest of the team. So it's hard to kind of say. Both of them had at least one really bad game in this series. The Lakers, of course, have the rest advantage because this went to game 7. They're stopped at game 6. Because the Warriors have the home court advantage, I'm going to go ahead and give them the edge in this series. And I'm going to say they're going to win in 7. Would I like them to win in 6? Sure. Am I super confident that that's going to happen? No. But look, at Curry has a 15-7 record against LeBron James in the playoffs. 15-7. And I think that we see our best ball from LeBron against Steph Curry. He knows. He knows this guy has beat him 3 times in the NBA Finals. Cavs got 1, and the Lakers, the Warriors got 3 of those. So I think we're going to see the best of LeBron James. I think it's going to be a really, really hard-fought series. I'm going to give the edge here to the Warriors, winning in 7. That's at plus 350. Are you going to make any bold predictions on how this series goes?
Hey, if you like dubs in 7, I mean, when I was on the show last with you, the Warriors are down 0-2 to the Kings, and we said, don't panic, do not panic, and that was the best value to jump in and take them at plus money to win the series. And sure enough, Stephen Wardell Curry gets it done with 50 points in a game 7. So maybe I'll look to hope, almost, sorry to your words, that they might drop game
Yeah.
1, find some more value in betting this series, and then bet them at a better price to win, or just take them in a game where it looks like their back's up against the wall. Maybe people, favor the Lakers in a certain spot. Maybe I take them to win a game on the road, and find a good spot to take a certain game instead of betting minus 165 to win the whole series, especially if a Warriors fan, a diehard like yourself, can see this going the whole way, all 7. I might look to
Yeah.
play it in a different way.
Yeah, no, I like that too. When we look at players to watch, obviously, like LeBron James and Steph Curry, you're going to watch. You're going to see the best of both of them because they're playing against another great. Kayvon Looney, I mean, what a monster! What a beast! 11 points and 21 boards in this last game. I believe he had back-to-back games. I mean, just nobody could get an offensive rebound. The Kings they went like 0 for 13 in the third quarter in the first, I don't know, half of that. So Kayvon Looney, you're always going to look. I don't think they could set this line high enough for Kayvon Looney at this point not to go over. So I look at him, it's probably going to be overly juiced. It'll be interesting to see how he matches up with AD on that, but I think he's someone to look. And unfortunately, Jordan Poole, like I said, there has not been a pool party yet this spring. We're now in May. Okay, we're getting into summer. I have not seen a pool party happen. And in that point, you might want to look on fading him because he has really been brick after brick after brick. But those are some players that I might look at. And, Klay Thompson hasn't been as good either, but he started to heat up the 3 ball a little bit. Maybe you look at his 3 points props there. But what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like the first guy you mentioned, Kayvon Looney, he has to play a big role in this series. And yeah, he's not going to get 25 rebounds a game against guys like Anthony Davis. But, the physicality is the biggest strength the Lakers have in this series. So Kayvon Looney is going to have to neutralize that a bit, which is what he did against the Kings. And he could potentially at least take that strength away a little bit. So I might look again for him to attack the glass and play rebounds, props. Like you said, that line's probably going to be really high. So maybe I hope it ekes down a little bit in a tougher matchup to get those boards. But I'll be looking at him to play his role in that department of the game. And I actually feel the opposite about Jordan Poole. I think I'm going to bring my floaties and expect a pool party to come back in season because in this small ball style matchup, he could be an absolute killer weapon. All the doubles are going to Steph and Klay, and they're going to be chasing him around those double high screens, running for their life to stay with him. That might open up more opportunities for Jordan Poole, who's a confident shooter. Shooters keep shooting. They're going to find the net eventually. So, let's throw that swimsuit on and look for a pool party.
Yeah, what he's got to find other options because that contested layup just was not working for him at all. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about your Knicks here, Danny. They dropped game one to the Heat, 108 to 101. Jimmy Butler, of course, rolled his ankle with about 5 minutes left in the game. He stayed in, just kind of standing in the corner, shooting air balls. Are the Heat in trouble if they're without Jimmy Butler? Now we look at this last series, round one for them. It was Jimmy Butler mania. I mean, the guy dropped what, 54 and then 42 or 43. I mean, he was the Steph Curry, if you will, of that series and really put the Heat on his back. There's no Tyler Hero. He's still out for a few more weeks. And you saw how well the Knicks played in the first half and how much they owned them. And then, of course, they fell apart. Are the Heat in trouble? Do you feel better if Jimmy Butler is going to be out for at least a couple games?
The Heat are done if they don't have Jimmy Butler for a significant amount of time in this series. And even down 1-0, I feel confident in saying that because the Knicks did a fantastic job in the first half of playing against him. He only had 11 points in the first half. So, the Knicks really shot themselves into a hole. Went 7 of 34 from three. That's not going to happen every game. Got out of
Yeah.
our game plan, stopped moving around. It got real stagnant. It looked like old Knicks playoff basketball where the ball starts sticking, where everyone's looking around, no one's setting screens. We're like, who's going to bail us out of this bad situation? And you hate to see that as a lifelong Knicks fan who's used to disappointment. The first half was great basketball. It was the first time I felt like watching a Knicks game there at the Garden, like, wow, we're deeper in the playoffs, and I feel like we have more offense than the other team, especially these classic, Tom Thibodeau teams where it's grinded out, physical defense. Like, no, we have the ability to outshoot and outrun them. So if they don't have Jimmy Butler, where's the offense coming from? I was making fun of Heat fans in front of me in the beginning. Like, I was saying, we're good. Gabe Vincent is their offense. We're good. That's it. And if it's not 25 plus from Gabe Vincent or a monster game from Jimmy, I just don't know where the points come from without Tyler Hero still. So I'm really hopeful if the Knicks can get Randall back and improve some shooting that we can put more
Yes.
buckets in than them if they're lacking some of that key offense. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the injury plays out. Of course, I don't wish injury on anyone, but
No.
without Jimmy, the engine has been taken out of this team.
No, I agree, and it was kind of very similar as to why I think the Heat were able to get out of the first round is you didn't have Giannis, for a game or 2, and he was also injured, and I think that's why the Heat were able to come out of not to take anything away from them, but if you don't have Giannis on the floor, that is a huge, huge, benefit to you. In terms of adjustments, when I look at this game, I think they gotta stop playing Mitchell Robinson so much, okay? Maybe let Toppin and some other guys do it because they were getting killed in the Robinson minutes last night, and like you said, 7 of 34 from three, shooting at like what, 20, 21%. You absolutely cannot have that. I think they make that adjustment. I think maybe you pull back Mitchell Robinson's minutes a little bit. He just didn't seem to have the stuff. But if we look here at game two, Knicks are still favored, minus 285, 6.5 spread. That's a little scary to me. And this over under 207, fairly low. What are you leaning on for game two?
I'll probably be looking to play unders in this series because they're going to be set really low. I always say I don't let low totals scare me off because odds makers don't set them there for no reason. And especially if Jimmy's going to miss time, this is going to be a grind of a series. No one's going to look, it's not going to look like Warriors Kings, right? Those like high 120s, per side games. Like every possession will matter and teams will really have to find creative ways to get that offense going if the jump shots aren't falling. So I'll be looking to target unders in what I think will be just a fist fight of a series the rest of the way.
I'm gonna take the Knicks in the first half. I mean, come on. What happened in this game, in game one, was classic Knicks fall apart in the second half. Totally dominant. And by the way, this spread is pretty high. It's minus 4.5 in the first half. The books aren't messing around here with this one. 6.5 spread, 4.5 in the first half. But I think they can cover it. Obviously, that was an embarrassing loss for them at home. You had all the stars in the world there yesterday. It was the Garden. It was electric in there. They are going to come out with a vengeance. And like you said, possibly no Jimmy Butler, at very best an injured Jimmy Butler. Knicks are covering this 4.5 in the first half. I feel pretty confident about that. Where I get less confident is towards the end of the game when they fall apart. And like you said, don't have Julius Randle, who's been, their fourth quarter guy, certainly was scoring. So I like the Knicks in the first half.
And it's kind of weird too, because at long stretches when I was watching this first game, I was like, you know what? I'm not even upset that Randall isn't playing. It feels like we flow more naturally without him. Again, the ball isn't sticking. It's not looking like that Carmelo Anthony playoff Knicks. We're just doing ISOs and post-ups. And a lot of the time, Randall feels like he wants to take the onus on himself, and he takes contested jump shots. The ball sticks. It's not moving. It was more natural in the flow of the role players, but then the role players couldn't hit shots. And then Obi was trying to do a little bit too much and quickly
Yeah.
wasn't aggressive enough, and Brunson couldn't hit a three, and we were deeply missing Julius Randle. So I'm interested to see what it looks like when he does return and if he gives
Yeah.
us that offensive spurt we need, or the team looks like it flows, less fluid and the
Yeah.
ball sticks. I'm worried about that, but I'm hopeful that they don't have Jimmy and we have more offense regardless of how it shakes out.
No, I agree 100%. Okay, let's look at the other team in the East. Celtics and Sixers series. That one kicks off tonight. Celtics heavy favorites, minus 490 to win the series. Obviously, Joel Embiid's status is questionable, which is a huge blow to Philadelphia. He's still dealing with that sprained lateral collateral ligament in his right knee. What are we thinking about this one? I mean, if we look at the game itself, Celtics are favored by 10, double digits. Now, let's be honest. Were we that impressed with how the Celtics played in that series with the Hawks? The Hawks were still able to get 2 games on them, which I think the Hawks are a far inferior team to the Celtics. So I was a little bit surprised by that, by the fact that they let the Hawks get 2 wins on them. I would have felt better about the Sixers in this if I knew the status of Joel Embiid. I don't know that I could lay 10 with the Celtics though. What do you think about the series and what do you think about this game?
Yeah, first of all, lateral collateral. I didn't even know about this ligament, and I thought you were about to break into a rhyme. That was pretty funny. But if they don't have Embiid, or I mean, he's doubtful for game one, and if he misses any significant time or he's super hindered, I mean, we've seen the big man play hurt or try to play, battle through injury before. It only gets worse. And at the end of the day, the long and short of it, Katie, the 76ers have lost 7 straight times in the semifinal round. They just don't have the ability to get past here, and I don't
Yeah.
think this team has the makeup to do it either. No, did the Celtics gain stock for me by beating the Hawks? No, because you're right. I didn't expect the Hawks to hang around as much as they did, and the Celtics defense was a little bit disappointing. They were letting the Hawks rain down threes on them as
Yeah.
one of the best 3-point defensive teams in the league. So that was a bit surprising, but I don't think the Sixers have the guns to take him out in this round either. And they're just perennial choke artists in this round. So I think the Celtics shape a few things out and get it done fairly easily, especially if Embiid is compromised. I'm going to say Celtics in 5 or 6.
If you think that Boston can win in 6, that's at plus 450. If you think Boston can win in 5, that's at plus 230 over on Caesar Sportsbook. I tend to agree with you. I feel like it's going to be, I mean, it's really hard to bet on this right now, not knowing the status of Joel Embiid and how he's going to play. It's almost like you want to wait one game and see how this works out. But I would say, yes, the Celtics have the edge here just based on the injury alone and just being the kind of the better team. So I'll go the Celtics in 6. I still think the Sixers can get a couple wins in here, so that's at plus 450. Now, in terms of this game, I'm still tempted to give the Sixers plus 10. I think in this kind of environment, to lay double digits based on an injury that we don't know if they're playing or not is just too many points to give.
Yeah, I totally agree. And a good betting spot oftentimes is, oh, the big superstar is out. All the public money pours in on the obvious side because of that, and then they cover the number anyway with their role player stepping up. So I would sooner bet Sixers plus 10 in this first game. I don't think they'll win, but I think they could certainly cover it. And I would not lay the Celtics with that big number in any game, really, in a hotly contested playoff atmosphere, like you said.
Agree. Okay, finally, Nuggets and Suns. The Nuggets have a 1-0 series lead despite being an underdog as the number 1 seed before the series started. So Nuggets minus 190, spread 4.5. Look, the Nuggets are completely dominant at home, and I took the Nuggets to win this series, and Kenny did, and he had the sharper one. He was like, just take the, I think they were at even money or like plus 110 or something for them to win the series. I was like, oh, maybe they win in 7, because that's at plus 350 or plus 450. Obviously, those odds have changed now. But look, Nuggets are completely dominant at home. They have the home court advantage. They're 38-7 straight up. They're 26-16-1 against the spread at home this season. But still, this 4.5 is kind of a tight line. So I might look at them, and I know maybe I'm kind of a wimp doing the first half on all of these, but I'm still going to go first half in this one too. And I was looking and I saw the stats: Suns 0-6 against the spread in the first half. Well, the Nuggets are 5-1 against the spread in the first half in both of their last 6 games. So I look for the Nuggets to win this game and to come out swinging in the first half.
Yeah, I don't think you're a wimp at all for taking first half. I think I like your first half angles, and hey, wimpy money is good money if it's making. I don't care. Call me whatever you want if there's green in my pocket. I agree with Kenny. I agree with you. You got a good price if you bet it before it started because I think the Nuggets win this series. I felt like for a long time, even when they acquired Kevin Durant, I felt like the Suns were a paper team. It looks good, but I don't know how it's going to play out again, against the best of the best in the playoffs here. And finally, the Nuggets feel like they're not just a regular season team. bubble Jamal Murray is back, and even
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic saying he's our best
Yeah.
player right now. When you have the potential 3-time reigning MVP saying he's our best player, deferring to him, I mean, that's good news. And finally, they've got a front court partner for him in Aaron Gordon that's really filled out his game. They look physical down there. It's not just offense. They're playing, they're playing on all sides of the ball. And I finally feel like the Nuggets have found their stride. I don't think the Phoenix Suns can get by this team, especially with that great home court advantage in Denver that they hold down so well. So, yeah, I think you guys were on it early. I think the Nuggets win this series.
Give me the Nuggets and the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, baby. Inject it into my veins. All right, switching gears here, Danny. You're wearing a Yankees hat. You got the Yankees mural behind you there. WTF. The Yankees, my friend, are a mess. They've lost 7 of their last 10. They're tied for last place in the AL East with the Red Sox. Aaron Judge is hurt. He's dealing with that hip injury, and he's being evaluated today. They're hoping they can avoid getting him on the IL. What the F is going on, and are you worried?
I'm not worried because I've seen many, many Aprils that have not gone our way. And this is classic Yankees, right? I mean, we slump in the beginning of the season very often. So that's not unexpected. And the standings after 1 month are not going to rattle me. But I don't like what I'm seeing early on. Without Judge in the lineup, with Stanton slumping badly, that's actually impacted him, I think. He has no protection behind him, right? If Stanton's not hitting, then the pitchers aren't really afraid to attack Judge in a different way. And our role players haven't stepped up enough, so our offense has really sputtered. And beyond that, our starting pitching isn't picking up the slack because we're really injured. I mean, Carlos Rodon and Luis Severino being out, we've tried to fill the void with Clark Schmidt and Johnny Brito, and they just aren't doing the job. It's just not enough. So we're missing outfielders. We have some of the worst production from the outfield in the MLB, which is unthinkable having Aaron Judge over there in right field. And our starting pitching isn't carrying the day. So we need to either go acquire a starting pitcher or go acquire some outfielders. We have the opportunity to do that with some free agents in May. Maybe some veteran presence would help the club get out of this ugly slump. It's 1 month. I'm not going to hit the panic button, but I'm not in love with what I see so far from my Yanks. We need to shape up.
Yeah, absolutely. How are you betting the Yankees right now? What's some advice you can give the viewers? Lay off, just don't put your money on them, or
You know what? This actually might be a decent time to bet the Yankees because
Mhm.
as a diehard fan, I tell people all the time the Yankees are not a very good bet. They're an extremely public team. They're a big market team. They're going to garner a lot of public money and a lot of what I call dumb money. People that are just kind of betting uneducated, right? And just throwing it for no rhyme or reason. Just go New York, which is great. God bless. I'm all over that too sometimes, but it's not a sharp angle by any means, right? And so a lot of the time they're just inflated favorites and it's not worth the bet. Now that they're, the news stories are what's going on with the Yankees? Is Aaron Judge going to be hurt? Right? You might find some
Better
decent betting
value.
spots for the New York Yankees all of a sudden.
Okay, I like that a lot. All right, that's our guy, Danny Brasco. And this has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Don't forget to follow us on social and tweet your questions. We could answer yours on the show. We'll see you on Thursday.